Welcome to another video from ExplainingComputers.com. There comes a time in the life of every YouTube channel when you need to make a few changes. And as there's quite a lot going on in my life at the moment, big changes that'll alter what I do, it seemed a good time to start making a few changes to Explaining Computers. And therefore, in this video, I'm going to do my first ever subscriber update. This video isn't going to feature anything about actually building things or hardware, software, all that sort of stuff. I'm just going to be talking to you about what's going to go on in the future on this channel. So if it's the first ever Explaining Computers video you've seen, I'll say hi, welcome to the channel, but this is really not a good place to start. Now, to all of you loyal subscribers out there, first thing you've hopefully noticed is I've got a new introduction. I've got a new logo up there. There you are, look. Now, this channel has had the same introduction, give or take. There's actually been 4 versions of it, but basically the same introduction since I started over 7 years ago. And I know some people out there, I think it's a very vocal minority, but some people absolutely hated the old introduction. I never quite understood how 235 frames of animation could get so much hatred down in the comments, but it did. And therefore I have made some changes to try and modernize things a bit, but also to try and reflect more what's going on with the channel. So as you hopefully saw in the introduction, we've got a desktop PC, we've got a laptop, we've got a tablet. There'll be tablet stuff coming up on this channel in the coming months and years. And we've also got a single board computer, and there'll be lots of stuff about Raspberry Pi and stuff like that continuing on the channel. Now, I've not made a massive change. I did on my Explaining the Future channel. I'm on a second YouTube channel, Explaining the Future, and I made some changes to that introduction earlier this year for about 3 or 4 videos, much more modern in terms of the audio and sophisticated visuals. And quite a few people quietly emailed me to say, well, we quite like the new thing, but you've lost the distinctiveness of the old thing. You've lost the bit where it goes, explaining da 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 da. And therefore I thought, well, I don't want to lose that too much on this channel. So I've made a change. If you like it, great. If you don't, please keep your thoughts to yourself. But one way or the other, the channel introduction identity is now locked off for another, hopefully long period of time. Anyway, that's the visual identity. You probably don't care about that at all, but there are more fundamental things going on, and therefore I now want to tell you all about those. Right, well, for the second part of this video, when I tell you the really big things going on, I've actually changed location. As you can see, I'm now in my office in University of Nottingham in the Business School North Building on a Jubilee campus. I think we'll have a shot of that there. I say this is my office. In fact, by the time you see this video, it won't be my office. I was speaking to you a few minutes ago in early December 2015. I'm now speaking to you in very late November because I'm leaving the University of Nottingham at the end of November, and that's clearly going to have big implications for me, for how I earn my living, for my life, but also for this channel and what I do here on Explaining Computers. I've been at the University of Nottingham as a lecturer in computing and management and strategy and future and all sorts of things like that. I've been here for 25 years, not all the time in this particular office, but in different offices and in different places. And of those 25 years, I was full-time for 21 years, just over. I've been part-time 3 days a week, at least in theory. It's always been a bit more, but part-time since about start of 2012. And now I'm going back to the world where people don't throw money into my bank account just for turning up every month. I actually have to go out and make a living and make things happen as a freelance individual. So I'm freelance from 1st of December. So that really means what I do will change, and what I do here on YouTube to some extent will change. I'm now going to be earning my living from 3 things. One of them is writing. As you'll know if you watch my Explaining the Future channel. If you don't, go on and watch my Explaining the Future channel. But if you haven't done that, you may not know I write books. And I've just published, here we are, my 11th book. The next big thing, look, from 3D printing to mining the moon. This is book 11. I haven't written a book on computing for a while. I wrote quite a few books on computing in the past, maybe next year I'll do another computing book, although there is stuff in here about robots and AI and that sort of thing, so it's not entirely not about computing. And this has also been keeping me away from this channel because it's been an enormous task to write all the pages in this great big book, and now this is finished, I can do a lot more filming. So that's going to be about a third of my life. Second third is going to be speaking to clients, as some of you again may know, particularly if you've watched the Explaining the Future channel. I go out and work as a futurist with companies, talking to companies about particular technologies, broad future trends, appear in the media, that type of thing. And that I'm sure will continue, I hope will build. But the thing I'm going to focus most of my time on initially, certainly in the first few months, is building up my YouTube channels. And that will be partially building up Explaining the Future, but it'll be particularly building up this channel here, Explaining Computers. Now, one of the criticisms I get on this channel, I get many criticisms on this channel, but one of the criticisms I get is not enough video content. People would like to see more videos. I've almost managed a video every 2 weeks this year, although it doesn't sometimes feel like it. It's been slightly uneven. But my plan now is to, from early December 2015, to do a video every week. So every week I will be here talking about computers, picking up things like, I found this clearing out, here's an old circuit board. I don't think I'll talk about this particular old circuit board, but just to prove there's one here. Here's a computery thing for this video to some extent. But I'll be making videos every week looking at all sorts of computing topics, and having regular content will hopefully build the channel even more. It's been building quite nicely in the past sort of 18 months or so, but I hope to take it to the next level. I've been down to Google, to YouTube Space in London fairly recently. I now have a named YouTube partner manager. Hi Magali, thanks for your support. And therefore I've got someone to talk to at Google about what I'm doing on the channel. I might use some of the YouTube Space resources on the channel in the coming months. So really I'm trying to take the channel to the next level. If you are a subscriber, I hope you'll find there's a lot more content, a lot more reason to keep coming back, watching the channel. If you aren't a subscriber, you probably aren't watching this particular video, but I hope you would subscribe and things will build up. There are currently about 63,000 subscribers to Explaining Computers. As you may know, Google give you an award when you hit 100,000 subscribers, and one of my own personal targets for 2016 is to hit that 100,000 subscriber mark by the end of 2016 and get my Google award, and I'm sure I'll make a video about that. So really that's the big thing going on. This channel is now not something I just do as an aside. This channel is a core part of how I live my life, how I earn my living, and therefore I hope you will approve of what goes on the channel as we open things up a bit, do a lot more content, and I think it's therefore now time for you to talk a bit about what that content will be. So, what have you got to look forward to on the brand new, or at least slightly updated, Explaining Computers? Well, I'll continue to make all the kinds of videos I've made in the past, things like computer hardware and updates and building things and that type of stuff. But having a weekly video will give me opportunity to do a bit more depth on some of the topics I've had a more cursory coverage of in the past. So, for example, I'm going to be looking in more depth at single board computers. I want to be able to return to things like robotics on the Raspberry Pi, which I know many of you have said, please make more Raspberry Pi robotics videos. They take time to set up, but I've now got that time to do that. I want to look at more internet-based things using single-board computers, Raspberry Pi, but also Banana Pro, LeMaker Guitar, etc. Building things like NAS drives, controlling things over the web, remote cameras, that sort of stuff. Internet of Things stuff effectively using single-board computers. I want to say a bit more about tablets, or indeed anything at all about tablets. I haven't covered tablet apps here on this channel previously, but now you can do all sorts of really cool things on a tablet, including things like 3D modeling. And I've now got the technical setup to record from a tablet, so I can start looking at tablet stuff in addition to stuff on PCs and single-board computers. And the other big sort of theme that's coming up is I want to look at free software, both in terms of operating systems, but also programs you can use under Windows. I'm increasingly aware from both what people say, but also my own personal sort of point of view, that we are getting worried about the fact we're so tied in to companies like Microsoft and Adobe, that you use a piece of software, they want to look at your data, they want you to be online all the time. And a lot of us are slightly uncomfortable about that. And therefore, I'm going to have a sort of theme on the channel about beyond Adobe, beyond Windows. What can we do running things like different versions of Linux or Linux, whatever you want to call it, to actually get away from the Microsoft world and still do cool things on our PCs, or maybe run Windows, but actually run non-Microsoft or Adobe or whatever applications. So I want to introduce you to quite a lot of software, which I've actually been quietly looking at and for well over a year now, and that'll be also part of the channel. I also want to do some more educational stuff. I'm aware that whilst many people who watch my videos are subscribers, many more people find videos on this channel via search. They're searching for particular topics. So for example, a few videos about, say, spreadsheet techniques might come along, or more programming techniques, programming in Python, that type of thing. I know a lot of people use my videos in schools, and I also want to make sure I'm serving that market. So all sorts of things coming up, and of course, I hope you'll continue to suggest things you want me to do in the video, and I do sometimes make those, and I have got a wide list of about 37 videos already people have suggested, and I will start to get to things on that list. So for example, this year, my favourite video on this channel was running Windows 3.1 on a Raspberry Pi, and that came entirely from someone's comment, and that I hope will continue. I don't quite know what will come up, but I hope it'll be interesting. Anyway, that's it for my first ever subscriber update video. Please do subscribe to this channel. Well, you probably already are if you're watching this update, but if you're not subscribed, do so. If you haven't subscribed to my other channel, Explaining the Future, please go and subscribe over there. On Explaining the Future, I do all kinds of technology-related things, 3D printing, space travel, etc. So if you like Explaining Computers, you might like my Explaining the Future channel as well. And of course, you can find me over on social media, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I'm even on Facebook now, so you can support me if you want all over the internet. Anyway, that's now it for this probably rather long subscriber update video, and I hope to see you again with normal service resumed very soon.